Tune it up, swashbucklers. You're listening to Under the Crossbones, episode number 57. My name is Phil Johnson. I'm your host. Thank you for tuning in once again. Episode number 57. Fun fact about the number 57. You may have seen on the Heinz ketchup bottles where it says 57 varieties, and that may be mysterious to you. Here's what it is. I found out where it comes from. You ready? All right. While riding a train in New York City in 1896, Henry Heinz saw a sign advertising 21 styles of shoes, which he thought was clever. Low bar for advertising back then. Anyway, although Heinz was at that point manufacturing more than 60 products, right? But Henry thought 57 was a lucky number. Why? I don't know. Why? So he began using the slogan 57 varieties in all of his advertising. And today, the company has more than 5,700 products around the globe, but they still use the quote-unquote magic number of 57. So anyway, you know who does probably more than 57 things? My guest today, Scott Pooler of Gasparilla Media. Scott is a dude who knows his pirate stuff. He's down in the Tampa area of Florida. He's involved with the Gasparilla Festival. He's a photographer. He runs piratedirectory.com, which would be of particular interest to you, my dear listener, and a couple other directory sites about mermaids and things like that. Super fun, interesting dude. You're going to love the talk. We had a great time together. Here's how I know it was a good talk. I had to do zero editing on this interview. Like it's one cut straight all the way through. Nothing got cut out. It was fantastic. It's really great. You're going to dig it. So I had a sort of busy weekend. Saturday, I gave some music lessons in the morning, which I always do. And then I traveled 3 hours north of me here in San Jose. I went 3 hours north to the small town of Cobb, California. And if you've never heard of Cobb, California, you are in good company because I've only met one other person who doesn't live in Cobb who knew where Cobb was. And it's like you go to Napa, wine country. You drive through Napa to St. Helena, where, by the way, there is a Robert Louis Stevenson museum, who I'm trying to get on the show. And you drive through St. Helena, and you go up in the mountains through this curvy, windy road, and then you're there in Cobb. And the thing is, it's in the Lake County area, sort of Clear Lake, that part of California, and they had a giant fire there a year ago, and tons of houses burned down. And I mean, it's still pretty desolate looking. There's mostly burned out trees and empty space up there at the moment, but everybody's been rebuilding. So this nice lady named Emily just finished rebuilding her house and wanted to have a party for all the neighbors and stuff. And she said there'd be like 30 people there. I said, great. And so she wanted me to come up and tell some jokes for an hour. And she hired a country band to come in. It was going to be just this cool little house party thing, right? And so we got there, and she goes, oh my gosh, there's going to be like 100 people here. I was like, okay, good for me. More the merrier. She was cooking frantically. But beautiful new house she built on her land up there. And nice people. The type of people that are not suburbanites like I am. They are mountain people. But they were very down-to-earth, very cool people. Very nice. They were mountain people. So they were not the same as I, or maybe if you're living in an urban area, these are the people who you'd go, I don't know if I'm going to have a lot in common with these people, but they were all cool. So it was fun. So I got up, I told some jokes for like an hour, sang them some songs, did all that, tried to not get too over-the-top dirty with them, and apparently I hit the line. There's always a line that you got to find with every audience, right? Even if they go, oh, we want a clean show, maybe a kind of dirty show, we don't know. You got to find that audience's line. So there's a couple of tester jokes in my act that ride a line a little bit, and I can figure out how far I can go with that audience. And if they laugh and it seems like they want more, then I go raunchier. And if they don't laugh, then I go pull it back. Okay, it's great. So I was able to find that audience's line real well. We had a great time. It was outdoors. Telling jokes and when it's not dark is always a little weird, but it was good. It was fun. And then I had some food, listened to the country band, Buck Ford and his boys that she brought out. And we're just on the deck and having a party and talking to people, and it was good. And then I drove 3 hours back home. So it was a long, long day. I drove 3 hours up, did a show, and then drove 3 hours back. And then Sunday, I slept a lot. And we had dinner for my dad's birthday on Sunday, which is, here's the thing about a large Sunday dinner. Like, the large Sunday dinner is a bad idea because Monday morning is tough to get out of bed. I was not feeling like doing anything Nothing at all, but I managed. And the energy's starting to come back. It's all good. So, speaking of parties, there is a big one coming up next Monday on September the 19th. That is Talk Like a Pirate Day, of course. You know that. You know that, right? Yeah. So we are doing our first live Under the Crossbones recording at the Story Tavern in Burbank, California. So if you're anywhere near Burbank and you want to come out and see a live UTC being recorded right there in front of your face, and you can laugh with us and all that kind of stuff, and your little laugh will be right there on the podcast. It's going to be fun. Story Tavern in Burbank, California. We're doing it at 4:30 in the afternoon, which seems a little early, but it's because we want to do it before the bar gets busy, because I want to have good sound for you. Otherwise, it'll sound really atrocious. So 4:30 in the afternoon, Story Tavern, Burbank, California. My guests on the show are going to be Chris Roberts of the Pirate Art Department, which is a set design company, and Chris is the one that invited me to do this as part of his event. I will also have the former Disney Imagineer Scott Rogers on hand to tell us some Disney pirate stories, which is going to be great. And then I've also got Carlos Ragas, a.k.a. Captain Cutthroat Jack of the Pirates Dinner Adventure in Anaheim, California. How awesome is that going to be? It's like medieval times. If you've never been, it's like medieval times, but based on a pirate story. And so I've got the lead pirate, Carlos Ragas, coming out to talk to him. It's going to be a really fun event, or it'll be a total disaster. I've never done a live one of these before, but I think it'll be fun. As far as my shows, light month, but I got a few things coming up. This Wednesday, September the 14th, I will be on the Edge Coffee in Clovis, California, headlining a show there. Clean show, family show. Let's see if I can pull that off. That'll be fun. And then, of course, Monday, September the 19th, we're doing the live pod for Talk Like a Pirate Day at Story Tavern in Burbank, California. Wednesday, the September the 21st, I will be at the Fieldmore Gallery in Oakland, California. That is an adult toy store. So if you want to come out and look at some sex toys and hear some jokes, that's the place for it. It usually gets pretty packed, so get there early if you want to check that one out. I'll be headlining that show too. And if you're waiting for me to come where you are, it's going to happen. In October, I'm going to be in Washington, Oregon, and Florida. November, we've got Illinois and Wisconsin coming up. November, I think I'm doing Chicago. I got some Chicago. I got some San Diego. Lots of stuff. If you want to find out where I'm going to be telling jokes near you, hit the underthecrossbones.com page and click on the tour dates button, and it'll all be there. Check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/underthecrossbones, Twitter /undercrossbones with no the. And, of course, if you want to find all the show notes for this show, you can go to underthecrossbones.com/057. If you want to support the show, and I hope you do, I hope you're enjoying it, and you want to help us out, keep it going. It's time-intensive, more than money-intensive, but time-intensive, definitely, which takes me away from other money-making activities. So if you want to help us out, that would be awesome. Go to underthecrossbones.com/support. You can drop a little donation, whatever you want, whatever you think it's worth to you, in the little PayPal box there. There's an Amazon banner. If you don't want to donate anything, you just want to buy yourself something, that's the way you do it. You go click that Amazon banner, you buy yourself something nice, maybe some gold jewelry or a hair pick or a flute of some sort. I don't know. And Amazon will give me a little kickback. Doesn't cost you anything when you do that way. And if you want to be a sponsor of the show, if you've got a product or service that you think would be likable by a pirate audience, we can hook you up. It's cheap. It's easy. Contact me through there, and I will make that happen. All right? So let's talk to my friend Scott Pooler of Gasparilla Media. This is a fun talk. Let's dig in. All right? Here we go. So you do 1,000 different things in the pirate community. Tell me about some of those things that you do.
1,000? Is that all? Oh. Well, I am known as the photo pirate. I take pictures. I am a on-site event photographer for the Gasparilla Parade, for Gasparilla Cruise, and I do several of the other parades. And many of your fans may or may not know about Gasparilla, but it's the world's, excuse me, that was a beer. The world's oldest pirate festival and the third largest parade in the United States.
Nice. How long has that one been going on now?
Since 1904.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That even predates Johnny Depp, my gosh.
Yes, it does predate Johnny Depp. In fact, it almost predates Disney World. It predates Pirates of the Caribbean, for sure. The truth of the matter is it's amazing that they came up with a pirate festival here in Tampa, Florida, on the Gulf Coast of Florida, when pirates used to roam this area less than 50 years before that.
That does seem a little bit weird.
And they did it as a tourist attraction. They wanted to bring people down here. But pirates were not known as a good thing to have 50 years earlier. There were people that were alive when this was created who probably did not like pirates very much.
That'd be like, hey, man, we are the murder capital of the world. Come see our murderer festival.
Come on down. Spend a nice little winter time and we will kill you.
So how did you get into photographing pirates?
Well, I've been involved with the Gasparilla Pirate Festival since I was a wee lad. I grew up in the boating business in Tampa Bay. Of course, in the early days when I was a young fella in school, we used to get the day off of school. It was held on a Monday, not unlike Mardi Gras.
Uh-huh.
And the whole county got the day off of school to go to Gasparilla, which was also coincided with the opening day of the Florida State Fair.
Okay. Which
was held in Tampa at the University of Tampa, which is totally irrelevant, but I am such a historian, I had to add it in there. And as I grew up, I ended up becoming a captain, and I ran a paddle wheeler and several other boats in the actual Gasparilla invasion. You see, there's more to Gasparilla than just a parade. There's a huge boat invasion with the Gasparilla ship that comes and lands, and the pirates get off and they take the city. And thousands of boats join that invasion. So it's a big deal in many ways. It's quite a spectacle.
Sounds like it.
Later on, I had also picked up photography in other aspects of my life, and then when the things merged together was when I joined a Gasparilla crew and became their photographer and webmaster.
Nice. So tell me, I've heard about the crews for Gasparilla and things like that. What is a crew specifically in that context?
Well, a crew is a group of like-minded people who get together to do more than just party, but the main deal is to put together money to have a float in the Gasparilla Parade, the Children's Parade. The Children's Parade goes a week before the Gasparilla Parade, and it is the largest children's parade in the world. A lot of people don't know that. We are the biggest thing that nobody ever heard of down here in Tampa.
You guys are the Brian Regan of the pirate world.
Yeah, there we are. But it's not just, there's upper crust crews, and then there's middle of the road crews, and there's bottom of the line, salty dog crews as well. So there are over 60 crews, over 9,000 people that are in the crews in Tampa.
Wow.
And there's a little bit of something for everybody. Not all of them are pirate crews. Some of them are Celtic, like the Irish and all that, and some of them are they follow the Roman gods, and the crew of Pandora, which is the ladies, the goddesses, and it's quite an eclectic gathering. And the most fun is prior to each parade, when everybody is lined up and we all go from float to float, and every float has a bar on it, of course, and obviously there's some opportunity for some photographs of that.
Okay, yeah.
So it's a very colorful and interesting event, and I started to take pictures of more than my own crew, and it got a following, and people tend to like my photographs, so that's what I do.
Nice. Now, tell me a little bit about your years. You were like a merchant marine guy, right?
Yes, I was. I joined the merchant marine right out of high school. I was a hawse piper. Went from being a deckhand all the way up to being a captain.
Wow.
Became a master of all oceans, and sailed tugboats, cruise ships, all kinds of things. My career ended from an accident that happened at sea.
Oh.
And that was about 15 years ago.
Oh, what kind of accident was it, if I can ask?
I was nearly cut in half by a towing chain on a very large tugboat.
Oh, I hurt just hearing that.
Yes, it wasn't fun. It was on my birthday in 2001.
Yikes. Wow, that is crazy. That how do you come back from something like that?
Many years of therapy and surgeries and that sort of thing. But I'm walking and talking and obviously doing parades and things. So a very lucky man.
That is amazing, man. That is just craziness. And do you miss sailing and driving boats? Driving boats.
Well, yeah, of course. I can't do it as a licensed captain anymore, and that does burden me sometimes. The other thing that burdens me is finding out how much those blokes are making these days. They're making a hell of a lot more money than I used to make. They're the real pirates now. But no, I had quite a career going, and I was very proud of what I did. But the other aspect of it is my daughter was born that same year.
Okay.
And of my injury. So I would not have known her if I continued in my career and not had been hurt the way that I know her. So
okay.
I'm happy about that because we're quite tight. She's 15 years old now, and she's not acting like what I've heard other 15-year-olds act like. And she's got a course set for her life. She wants to become an FBI agent, and she's in a criminal justice academy here in Pinellas County, and she's doing quite well. So I think that things work out the way they work out. And now I can just be a pirate rather than a merchant captain.
That's fantastic. So it sounds like you've always been sort of a seagoing, oceany type of guy.
Well, yeah, I grew up in a boatyard in Tampa Bay. My dad was a captain. My brother was a captain. They're both gone now, but yeah, from a very early age, I was out getting salty at the age of, well, let's see, I ran my first boat on my own at the age of 8.
Wow.
And it was a 21-footer, I recall very clearly. And my dad dropped me off in the morning, put me on the boat. He says, you need to start it up, you need to take the lines off, and then you need to meet me at this other marina that was about 15 miles away. It was a big deal for an 8-year-old.
Sure.
And I did it. And so it never stopped from there. He taught me much that I was, my dad was he was in the Coast Guard in the 1950s in the North Sea, working out of Maine. So he was a bit of a salty character himself. And he taught me much that I didn't realize he had taught me until I got on the decks of the oil tankers and the other big ships, that I knew things inherently that I shouldn't have known at such a early age or without much more training than I had at the
Interesting.
point.
Like, give me an example of that.
Oh, just the basics of how, like how to lay out an anchor. When you're dropping an anchor on a ship, the anchor, it's serious business. People can get their heads chopped off.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's when I realized it was, Dad taught me that I should be cool. I shouldn't get in the way of things. I should think through things. And he didn't necessarily, he didn't have a steam winch to show me how to drop the anchor on a T2 oil tanker, but there were things that he had ingrained in me in working. I was his mate. We lived on yachts and whatnot. We had a yacht business. We had a boatyard. I was a towboat captain at the age of 13.
Oh, my gosh.
So, all these things added up to teach me the patience and the ability to maybe know a little bit more than the guy that just went through a school and stepped on board a deck,
Interesting. Now, piloting a ship at that early in age, is there some sort of, and you're talking to a guy who knows a squat about driving a boat, but is there a licensing process or something? Like for driving a car?
Course. There is. What I was doing at the boatyard at age 13 did not require a license. It would require a license now.
Okay.
That would be a towing endorsement license. And I actually was the youngest bloke in the Miami Coast Guard District to get a captain's license in the history of the Miami District. And it was a 100-ton master at the time, which at the time they would test your local knowledge. So you would only get you lived in Tampa and you'd only been in Tampa, you'd only get a captain's license that was good from a little bit north of Tampa and a little bit south of Tampa.
Okay.
Because I had worked for the boatyard and I had worked on charter boats and worked with my dad and we had delivered yachts around the whole country, I was able to sit and take tests when I sat for my captain's license at age 18, that covered all the way from, I believe it was Delaware to the Mexican border.
Oh, okay.
It was many, many, many different plotting tests and stuff. So I was well qualified at 18 years old, and it took my head, and I didn't go to college. I went to sea. So may not have been the smartest thing, but I found out that I could get paid to go do this, or I could go sit in a classroom and not. So I don't know. I kind of like the money idea.
Yeah, and everybody sort of has their own path, and if college isn't something that's needed in there, I mean, when I was going to college, I was working with a mentor in the music industry, and he was like, you don't need to go to college to be a rock star, right? And I was like, I kind of know that, but my parents don't seem to. So, and as it turned out, I didn't become a rock star anyway. I became a comedian. So, we just veer off into different directions, and I think that's totally fine.
Ain't it funny how life works out?
That's right. That's right. What's the longest you ever spent at sea?
I believe... Well, it depends on what you call it. See, we would go to different ports, but I'd be away from home. Probably the longest time was about maybe 4 or 5 months.
Oh, okay. Is there an element of stir craziness being on a ship for that long?
Yeah, they call it. It's quite prevalent in some people, and it comes on when you think you're going home, but then all of a sudden plans change and you're not going home. Yeah, it's. It can be quite interesting. Yeah, I've seen guys. I never smoked. I don't smoke anything, but I've seen guys actually take tea bags and roll them up because they ran out of cigarettes at sea, and smoked cigarettes because we were not close enough. We hadn't been able to buy any cigarettes, and I just thought they were pretty loony.
That's funny.
I didn't have much of a problem with that, but. You get longing for home. Of course, it's not probably as bad as being in combat or in the military or anything, but I had been. I went to the Persian Gulf for a couple of trips, so as a deckhand.
Okay.
But as an AB, able-bodied seaman, it's called.
Okay.
But I can't relate to the guys that are in Afghanistan or anything like that. But yeah, it can be quite different. And you're in the company of a bunch of crazy other fools.
Right.
Either you get along or you don't, and if you don't, it can be rather tedious. So
yeah.
And you don't have any choice until you get up to being a captain, you don't have a whole lot of choice about who you sail with. So
sure, yeah, no, that makes sense. I get a little bit of that when I'm on the road, and I generally travel by myself, and I'll be out for 2-3 weeks at a time sometimes, and even that amount of time, I'm about halfway through. I'm not thinking about home really at all, and then by about that beginning of the third week, I'm like, okay, I am so sick of sleeping in hotel beds. I just really want to sleep in my own bed, even though it's less comfortable.
Yeah, but if you're in the hotel bed, you can always go to the Outback that's out front, when you're strapped into a bunk in a tugboat that has a round bottom, and you're in an 18-foot sea, and it's on the beam, and you're got pillows trying to hold you into the bunk. Yeah, it gets a little more tedious.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm extrapolating from my own thoughts and going, yeah, no, I don't need to do that.
And by the way, that bunk is 15 feet away from 2 locomotive engines at full speed.
Oh my gosh. So you don't get a peaceful, quiet night's sleep is what you're saying?
No. You live your life with earplugs in, and if you want to ever hear again.
Sure, yeah.
They're not built for comfort, these things, these tugboats, these merchant sailing boats. And neither were the pirate ships of days of old. So I like to joke, and getting back to Gasparilla, I was at a meeting with, the people that run Gasparilla and have run it since 1904 are ye mystic crew of Gasparilla. They are the elites of Tampa. They're judges and doctors and attorneys and such. And it's mystic because they don't necessarily want everybody to know that they're in the crew of Gasparilla, and they're very secretive kind of society. It's some would call it an old boys club. They're opening up more, and they're more gregarious these days. The times have changed, but they have a long, they have a 115-year tradition of doing what they do. And I was in a meeting after a Gasparilla, like a post-parade Gasparilla thing that was presenting the awards for the best float and this and that and the other thing. And I was a guest of the winner of the best float, which is actually a group out of Philadelphia who had come down.
Huh.
They were mummers from Philadelphia. I will give them a plug. You're going to have to edit this for me. Bill McIntyre's Shooting Stars.
Nice.
Thank you. I had a memory glitch there. In any case, they are something else. I don't know if you've ever seen the Mummers, their parade, but they are pretty wild.
Oh, okay.
And they came down here and they show us a thing or two at Gasparilla in costuming, in audio. You know, their sound is always the best, and their costumes. They spend so much money each and every year. They change their costumes, and they go on a theme, and they dance choreographically while they parade for 15 miles. It's just pretty amazing, these guys. Anyway, they had won an award, and I'm up in the Tampa Club, and I'm hobnobbing with the top dogs, you know, and I'm just an average Gasparilla pirate, but I had been one of the guys running the boats down there, and I'd been involved with it all my life. And these Ye Mystic guys are saying, hey, you know, we love what you're doing on Facebook. We love that you're bringing up the history of Gasparilla. How do you know about all of this? Kind of the same question you're asking.
Yeah.
And I says, well, you know, mate, I'm probably the only real captain you got in this room. And I've been a pirate since 1968, so I think maybe I might know a thing or two here. I appreciate you noticing, and I appreciate your support, and because I had just recently started my Facebook endeavors to promote Gasparilla, because I thought it needed to be promoted, because they really don't get the message outside of our local area. So I like to think that I helped to inspire some of that to where some people might be knowing a little bit more.
Yeah, and it certainly, I'm pretty sure it was through one of your posts that I originally discovered it a year ago or whatever. And do you think, with it being as big as it is, how much more influx can it stand of more people?
Oh, it fluctuates all the time. I mean, we've had fans along the Gasparilla route in one day, over 500,000.
Wow. And
if you go back in history and you look, even all the way back in the 1940s, they were claiming 250, 300,000 on one day. Can you imagine in the 40s how many people had to travel how far to get to Tampa? Tampa at that time only had maybe 40, 50,000 people.
Wow.
So where did they come from, all those people? You know, we had an Air Force base, and we had a little bit of industry, and we had tourism, but we didn't have enough tourism to make up 250,000 people.
Sure. And I imagine that's a big part of why the city keeps it going now. They must make a ton of money during the festival.
Well, I'm not into the financial thing. It has fluctuated back and forth because Gasparilla got itself a little bit of a bad name because of there are the fans that come. I want to have a good time, and they get a little rowdy, and they tend to stumble into properties and do things they might not ought to, and and also some of the crews got a little rowdy. This is in the 80s and 90s.
Uh-huh.
And there was a bit of a time where they had to work on changing the perspective from outside, that it's not just about the party. It's not, there is a big party, and it's, it is Mardi Gras times 10 for one day.
Uh-huh.
Mardi Gras is a stretch of 30 or 40 different little parades.
Right.
We are one parade that is as big as the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
Or as big as Macy's Thanksgiving Day, but with drunk people.
Which is why Macy's isn't the sponsor.
and pirates. And it's fun. It's meant to be fun. And there's safe zones, there's places where the kids can go, and they set up parks for them, and it's quite the spectacle. It's a big beast to manage. Let's say that. I
Sure.
would say that the city of Tampa has done a fine job, along with you, Mr. Crew, in managing all the different aspects and the different personalities and the different ways that things could go wrong. We get a whole lot of Homeland Security stuff too, because it's a huge target.
Sure, yeah.
And when the NFL had a Super Bowl in Tampa, they moved Gasparilla to the date that it is now to coincide, so that if Super Bowls come to Tampa, that they can combine the two.
Oh my gosh. We just had a Super Bowl here in my neighborhood. The last one was here in Santa Clara, and that was more than anybody wanted to handle. Handling 250,000 pirates on top of that must be insane.
No, at Super Bowl time, we had 750,000 pirates.
Oh my God.
750,000 people one day. Now, it was the opposite end of the week for Super Bowl, but there's already all the Super Bowl people in town.
Sure, yeah.
Of course, the Air Force is going nuts, and we got B-2 bombers going overhead, and we got all kinds of stuff because everybody wants to get on those Super Bowl cameras. So it can be quite a spectacle.
That's insane.
And so that's kind of, that's my pirate heritage, and I'm pretty proud of it. It's not something to trifle with.
Of course, yeah. Now, do you think, does Tampa, outside of the festival time, does it maintain some of that sort of piratey spirit as you go along, or do they just kind of...
But of course, yeah, the ship, the Jose Gasparilla ship, is docked right along Bayshore. When they take her out of service and they put her away for the off season, they bring her back and park her at a very public place so everybody can see that we're a pirate city. And we have bars that are called gas bars, which is Gasparilla. We have pirate ships over on the beach, and we have several different things. This is a huge area over here in Tampa Bay. Sure. It's not just Tampa.
Yeah.
And, many, not everybody over on the beaches are all that acquainted with what Gasparilla is either, because, they want to kind of relax and hang out, so they don't necessarily want to go put themselves in the middle of 500,000 people. But they do pay homage to it. We have pirate bars. We have many pirate crews up and down this coast of Florida. We have lots of pirate festivals that are not just Gasparilla.
Sure.
So, they're in Sarasota. There's one coming up in Cedar Key. The Cedar Key Pirate Festival's big. Fort Myers is big. Punta Gorda's big. And then across the coast, of course, we got pirate festivals everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's really cool. Boy, now I feel like I'm going to be in Florida in October. Now I feel like I'm going to be there at the wrong time of year. I have to book some other shows.
Well, Florida, October is about the start of pirate season. It really comes on strong. January is, of course, Gasparilla time, and then you go into March, April, May. We have several different, Gasparilla isn't just two parades, or the Gasparilla crews don't just attend two parades. There are four main parades involved with Gasparilla. There's the Children's Parade, the Gasparilla Main Day Parade, and the Invasion. Then there's the Night Parade, which is the Knights of Santiago Night Parade, which is held in Ybor City, which is a Latin section of Tampa that was started back in the 1800s. Lots of cigar rolling and sorts, which kind of would remind you of Bourbon Street.
Okay,
and it's a very, very neat, very artsy, eclectic area. And then, of course, we have the St. Patrick's Parade, which is run by the Rough Riders, which is another part of history. I don't know if you remember Teddy Roosevelt, but one of our biggest crews are Teddy Roosevelt's Rough Riders.
Okay.
There's 800 or 1,000 guys in that crew, and they dress like the expeditionary forces that went to the Spanish-American War and charged up San Juan Hill in Cuba with Teddy Roosevelt.
Interesting.
So they run their own parades. They have the Santa Fe Parade in December, and they run the St. Patrick's Day Parade.
Interesting. Wow, that's really cool. It seems like you guys have like we don't have parades here in San Jose. We just have engineers who make computer stuff, and like parades. We don't even have a county fair here anymore. So it's really great to see community events like that still happening somewhere, because they seem to have gone the way of whatever here in where I live.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they just don't have time for it. But we like to party over here.
Apparently, that's what it sounds like, man. So, how did you get started then doing these directory sites? You've got the pirate directory and you've got the Gasparilla directory. How did you get into this web area of things that you're in now?
Well, it's an odd thing. I started out with the mermaids. Actually, I got involved with a mermaid convention.
Okay.
Which was called Merpalooza.
Of course.
Which may or may not be a highlight of my career in life, but the website that I built for Merpalooza, I transformed into the Mer directory, which is the International Mermaid Directory.
Okay.
And I've got all the, well, not all, I would like to have all. I have many of the actual professional marking mermaids that actually get paid to do what they do. Listed on the Mer directory, which is kind of a close tie-in because where it all started was Wikiwachi, which is just north of Tampa.
Okay.
So I don't know if you're familiar with Wikiwachi, but they started doing mermaids and mermaid shows back in the 1940s.
Oh, okay.
And it's a state park now and owned by the state of Florida, but they still perform mermaid shows there just like they would have done in the 1940s every day. And that mermaid culture has spread, and we have an aquarium here in Tampa, and they have mermaids, and other mermaids are throughout the country, and I think Memphis and other places and other aquariums. But there's quite a culture, a subculture of the, I guess you would call it the, what is it, the, time for an edit again. Let's see. The cosplay.
Oh, sure, yeah.
The cosplay people, they cover all kinds of different realms. Well, there are people that are mermaids in that sector of cosplay and go to the conventions and stuff. So that's what got me started, and then I decided, well, why don't I build one of those for Gasparilla? And I would be able to list the different people and the venues and whatnot involved with Gasparilla, which, frankly, I don't know how well it's been accepted. When I did the pirate directory, though, that's kind of taken off. And the pirate directory is for the entire world and lists all the pirates. If you're just a pirate, a guy or gal that likes to dress up as a pirate, you can get a listing on the pirate directory for free and show off all your garb and your stuff, and people can know you by your pirate name.
Right.
When you're on Facebook, you can't go by your pirate name.
Oh, right, yeah.
Right? You got to go by your real name. So if you're at, a lot of people go from pirate festival to pirate festival or Ren festival to Ren festival, and they introduce themselves as Bloody Black Jack. If you want to look up Bloody Black Jack and get with him, you're not going to find him on Facebook.
Right. His name is Wendell.
So I thought it'd be important that I offer this free service to everybody that does this, that they could get listed on the pirate directory, and I'll never charge anyone for that, so that they could have a home base. It doesn't work as well as Facebook, but I don't have $2 billion to build a website, so. But it will give you a page for free where you could be who you are as a pirate.
Nice.
And of course, I list the pirate places to find pirate gear, and I list the crews. Every crew that's out there, you can get a free listing on the pirate directory, and then all your people in your crew can list, and they will be connected to your crew listing. So, a lot of these crews, they don't have the money to create their own website. They could have their own website within the pirate directory to where, hey, these are all the people that are in our crew. So that when that crew goes from place to place, I'm not talking about Gasparilla crews necessarily, but just there are small independent crews all around the whole world. Actually, they're in Canada, they're in Colorado, they're in In Utah, there are crews of people, groups of people that join together to dress up like pirates and have fun. And I think they should have a place to be seen and be found, and where other people that might be interested in that can find them. So,
yeah, it's a really great site. It's well put together. I've certainly perused it myself looking for new show guests and things like that. So it's very useful. What I think is interesting is that a lot of this stuff, your site, my show, the other couple of podcasts that are out there, the pirate internet resources have not existed until the last year or so, which I think was like when I started the show, I thought for sure I was going to go out and there were going to be a dozen other pirate podcasts already happening. And there were about 6, and all of them were pod faded. None of them were producing shows anymore. And then like within a few months of each other, me and Craig and Matt started our shows, and then your site started up. And I'm wondering what took so long.
I have to take issue with that, mate. I started the directory back in 2013.
Okay, all right. So you were there first. All right, then I just hadn't heard about it.
I'm just saying here. Don't you grab my bluster.
No, kudos to you then for being on top of that. I
wish I could have connected with you then so we could do the podcast and the directory together, but maybe we'll work something out later on.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, I know you've already got my RSS feed and everything on there, and I do see some traffic from your site, so that's always cool.
Yeah, it's building up. It's taken a while. You know, when you build a website, it takes a while for Google to realize, hey, this is the real deal.
Sure, yeah.
And it takes a while for other people to. It would be nice to get more links in from other places. That would help.
Uh-huh.
The listings right now don't cost anybody anything. I at some point, I'm going to have to get some money out of this thing, but I've invested a lot of time and effort in making it a resource that could be used and utilized by everybody the world over in whatever language that they speak.
Nice.
And however they want to find themselves. You know, we have pirate-oriented resorts in freaking Australia listed. You know, we have all kinds of stuff. So, and on the mermaid directory too. You know, we have mermaid places. I have a pirate bar in Seoul, South Korea.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, pirates are international and they're big. It's big. It's bigger than the mermaids, and it's bigger than a lot of things. And I think that there's some people that are doing quite well in it. Some people are having a lot of fun in it. I think that you'll see when I first started with it, if you went to the Renaissance festivals, they would kind of poo-poo any pirates showing up. And now they're actively asking for us to come.
Right.
You know, and the Middle Ages were kind of cute, but they're not quite as much fun as pirates.
At least a few pirates could read.
Well, I don't know, but you know, it's never so much fun as trying to pull a sword out of a rock, right? You know, but when you're swashbuckling, you know, think about the history of how pirates have been romanticized. You know, it goes back to the very earliest films ever produced.
Yep.
You know, entertainment has been evolved. It's not just been since Disney made Pirates of the Caribbean.
No, of course.
Thank goodness they did. But Errol Flynn made quite a name for himself back in the 1920s and 30s doing the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, and there's this little place called Tampa that started a pirate festival in 1904. And you know who the first float was? They drove a Buick. It was a Buick.
The went piratiest of pirate cars.
They drove a Buick. Okay, you know, I think Buick should pick up on that after they hear this podcast.
A new sponsor. Well, you know what I found interesting? I mean, we were talking about how, you know, it was only 50 years after, you know, pirates effectively were out of the game. But even during the time of Golden Age and things like that, it was tabloid news that people really got a kick out of. Even though these pirates were doing horrible things, they were still interested in reading about them today. And it was very sensational, just like we would read about a serial killer today. And people would be sort of addicted to that kind of news.
Well, that, and it was romanticized in novels and books
Right.
and that sort of thing. Obviously being a pirate was not as much fun as we've seen on TV or in films, but it probably was not a very great life expectancy in being a pirate for most of them. They were the famous ones were famous because they lived, or
Sure.
they lived for a little while.
Yeah.
And they actually were able to get a little newsprint,
Yeah. Yeah.
The ones that didn't live, going up against the British Navy couldn't have been very appealing. So, or even the American Navy or any of the other navies, they had to be pretty bold and boisterous people to have survived it.
Yeah.
Coming from as being a sailor, I was not just a steelboat sailor. I was also a sailing sailor. I had a 500-ton master sail license, which is a ship the size of the Eagle. And I don't know if you know the Eagle. It's the Coast Guard training ship.
Oh, okay.
It's a square rigger, and there's some realizations that you have when you actually have to go out there and do it under sail. That this just wasn't. It's not how people perceive it from watching Pirates of the Caribbean. You just didn't look at your little compass in your hand and all of a sudden transportate yourself to the place you needed to go. There was a bit more work involved.
Yeah.
That's funny. They didn't have GPS and they didn't have anything else, and they survived and they found their way, and it's quite a bit of work. So there's a reason why people have written about it over the years, and there's a reason why people like to cosplay it, or however you want to call it. There are some very serious pirates that might get upset with me for saying that it's play, but or pirates that dress up as pirates and
Right. Yeah.
and enjoy themselves, and they spend every weekend and they buy weapons and they spend a lot of money, and they're very, very particular about their finery and their outfits, and they get quite serious about it. The Gasparilla people, not so much. We're just having fun. Although we do spend quite a bit of money on looking nice, there are some folks here that do, and we have one crew that's all into the black powder.
Okay.
They can't fire the black powder at Gasparilla Parade, but if they get into a parade that'll let them do it, they will shoot your ears off.
That's great. Well, Scott, this has been super fun, man. We got to sort of wrap things up here, but this has been great. So your website's piratedirectory.com, gaspariladirectory.com, mermaiddirectory.com, I'm guessing.
No, Mer Directory, M-E-R.
Mer Directory, M-A-R, M-E-R.
M-E-R, yes.
M-E-R, Mer Directory, which is also where you can find guys named Mer.
No, but you can find mermen.
Of course, yeah.
There are mermen, and that is a very interesting sector of the mer market.
I'm sure.
And my website is GasparillaMedia.com.
Gasparilla Media. Okay, cool. I will make sure that is all linked up on the show notes. And this has been really great. Is there anything I forgot to ask you about that you want everybody to know?
Well, geez, I'm a very sweet man that lives in Florida, and I have a fine young daughter, and I'd really like someone to donate at least $500,000 so I can keep these sites alive.
There you go. That is it. So if you're out there listening and you have $500,000 to drop, send half to me and half to Scott.
Yes,
and,
or if you'd like a website built, you could see that I actually know how to do it.
Yes, and they're beautiful sites. They're great looking sites.
So
Very cool.
That's mainly how I make my money, is building websites and the photography. So, I don't make a lot of money off of these sites. They're just more for serving different communities. At some point, I will try to get some advertising on them, but it's right now. It's to build a community and be part of it all, and to get nice fellas like you to give me a call.
I like it. Well, this has been fun, Scott. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
All right, thank you.
I'll talk to you again soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
And there it is, friends. That is my interview with Scott Pooler. If you want to find out all what he's up to, go check out his sort of internet base of operations at the moment, piratedirectory.com, where there is a ton of cool pirate resources and links and such there. So go check that out. We got some comedy and music today, of course. We're going to hear some comedy from Terry Boo, a new friend of mine that I met at the World Series of Comedy recently from out in the East Coast, New York area. Very funny dude. And you can find him at terryboo.com, TERRYBU.com. So we're going to hear some of his material, funny stuff. And then we are going to hear a song called Shame Spiral by a band called Youngest of Elders. And you can find them at youngestofelders.bandcamp.com. Cool jam. You are going to dig it. Before we get to there, though, make sure that you get yourself the free ebook that I've got for you, Alexander Exquemelin's Pirates of Panama, or Buccaneers of America, whichever title you like. And it's free. If you've never read it, it is a seminal piece of pirate research and writing from the Golden Age. Alexander Exquemelin was a doctor. He ended up on a pirate ship, and he wrote about his adventures. Like real life, real time kind of stuff. So if you want to get that, head over to underthecrossbones.com, click on the free ebook button, and it will be yours for the taking. If you're out and about, if you're in your car, if you're jogging, man, who would do that? If you're out doing things that don't involve sitting in front of a computer, just pull out your phone and text the word pirate and your email address to 94253. Just text the word pirate and your email address to 94253, and it will kick you back a little link to download that ebook. All right? So let's dig into some comedy and some music, man. I want some entertainment. Let's do this. So we're going to hear comedy from Terry Boo and then a song called Shame Spiral by Youngest of Elders. Here we go.
So I'm Asian American, and growing up it was tough because there's not a lot of Asian American role models in this country. Yeah, the best guy we had was like Keanu Reeves. He's like 1/4 Chinese. But I looked up to him because just 1/4 of him, like from here to here, I looked up, shoulder and eye. I was like, when I grow up, I'm going to be just like Keanu Reeves' shoulder. Asian. You know, it's also hard being Asian because sometimes people assume I can't speak English. Yeah. And this other day, this lady came up to me. She started yelling at me. She thought it would help me understand her better. I'm serious. She was like, hello, can you understand what I am saying? I was like, look, yelling is the most unproductive thing you can do to a person who can't speak English. Like, nobody's going to be like, oh my God, I couldn't speak any English before. But now that you are yelling, everything is so clear. Volume was the problem. No, I'm just kidding around. The truth is, my English is not perfect. Obviously, I have a thick accent, and my vocabulary is not very good either. The other day, this lady used the word golden child on me. I had no idea what it meant. It confused me. But this white lady, she came up to me, and she started talking about Jeremy Lin, like every other white person who comes to talk to me. Jeremy Lin, Psy, Gangnam Style, all that. We're talking about Jeremy Lin, and she was like, oh my God, I love Jeremy Lin. He's so popular. He's so successful. He is such a golden child. I had no idea what it meant. I was confused. I was like, what the yeah, he's a golden child. What are you saying? Imagine like somebody came up to you and started talking about LeBron James. They were like, oh my God, LeBron James is so awesome. I love him. He is such a chocolate child. Like, yeah, he's chocolate. Yeah, he's golden. What are you trying to say?
that is our show for today, friends. Thank you once again for tuning in. I always appreciate it, and I hope you appreciate it. The appreciation is just all back and forth today. And if you do appreciate the show, and I hope you do, I hope you go over to iTunes and leave us a nice little 5-star review, because those are nice. I like to read them. Even better, make sure that you're subscribed over there, because that helps us move up the charts, and it helps Apple pay attention to us, which is always nice when the big people pay attention. You know? Yeah, all right. So, and plus you get the new episodes automatically downloaded to your device. It makes it real easy. Wherever you get your podcasts, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Stitcher, wherever you do it, we're there. Except for Spotify. We're not on Spotify yet, but I'm working on it. It's going to happen. Yeah, all right. All right, if you want to find out more about my guests, Scott Pooler, go check out piratedirectory.com. Lots of great pirate resources right there. If you want to hear more from comedian Terry Boo, go to terryboo.com. His last name is B-U. And if you want to hear more from the band Youngest of Elders, maybe catch a show, download some jams, go to youngestofelders.bandcamp.com. All the show notes for this show are at underthecrossbones.com/057. Next week, big live event in Burbank, California, and that's what you're going to get. If you're not there on Monday with us, you're going to get it in your feed first thing Tuesday morning. So I'm going to stay up late on Monday night making sure it's ready for you. All right? I'll see you next week with the live one. Bye.